Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Southeast Louisiana. I'm Reverend Larrye-Marie Heyl, the spiritual director here, and I am so glad you've decided to join us today. We're a group of radically inclusive spiritual renegades, healing hearts and creating community, and we each embrace spiritual conscious living. Our topic today is learning, and I'm hoping that you will stay around to see all the ways that we have things in our lives that maybe it's time to unlearn, and how we might most effectively learn new things so that we truly embrace that spiritual fulfillment that we're seeking in life. It's a second week in a 12-week series, but each week is independent. So in each week we learn more about how to chop wood and carry water. Let's begin with prayer. We just take a deep, nourishing breath, recognizing God is love and laughter and joy and freedom and ease and peace and every imaginable quality that you think of as desirous and good. All good. And what I know is that as individual expressions of the divine, we are each connected to all of that love, all of that joy. The divine lives within us. That wisdom of the divine lives within us, allowing us to learn and to expand who we are. And I know that this particular day that each of us is here by divine appointment to learn more about who we are and to look at specifically how we might learn to live in a life that fills our lives and our beings with joy and love. To have a life that's spiritually fulfilling each and every moment. What I know is that there's something in the message or in the reading or in a song that is going to tap into your heart today and have you recognizing something that the divine has been whispering to you all along. So I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for this opportunity we have to come together, to learn together. And I'm grateful that I know that wherever we are, God is. That the God without lives within each of us. And that God is saying yes. So I am releasing these words into the law of mind, spirit, and action, knowing the truth. That right where we are, God is answering our prayers. God is saying yes to all of this. So I can just let it be, call it good, say amen, and we can affirm it together. And so it is. And our opening song, which is great to remember when we're learning things, is Every Day is a New Day. Sing along.
By my side, never will I see this world the same. Sun came up this morning, looking the same as it always has. The birds begin to sing their same old songs. I noticed the dew on the leaves of grass, the blossoms on the branch of the trees. Then I remember God made all of this just for me. Every dawn is a new sunrise. Every beauty God placed a new sunrise. Every beauty God placed here for me. Every day is a new day. Every journey God's by my side. Never will I see this world the same. Every day is a new day. Every dawn is a new sunrise. Every beauty God placed here for me. Every day is a new day. Every journey God's by my side. Never will I see this world the same. It's a new day. It's a new day. It's a new day.
So this is our time for celebration and healing. Our time in our service where we celebrate life and we pray for people who desire prayer. We begin with celebration, so I invite you to say aloud, so that the whole universe can hear it, any event in your life for which you're grateful and joyful this week. And now we turn to the healing portion of our service. We're a community steeped in healing. So we pause now to pray for anyone who's not feeling the joy of life that we perhaps were just feeling. They're not feeling maybe that they have things to celebrate. And I truly love this part of our service because it's so in alignment with who we are. So let's pray. God is all there is. God is that love and that peace and ease and grace and freedom and so much more. And as an individual expression of the divine, each of us have within us all of these qualities of spirit. They're available to us right here and right now. And what I know to be the truth is that there are people on this planet right now that aren't embracing those qualities. So we stop for a moment and we create a circle of love. And in this community, we place in that circle of love anyone that we recognize within ourselves or for someone else that might need prayer. So I'm going to pause and I just invite you to say aloud the names of all of those people that you want to include in our circle of love. I know that God is right where each of us happens to be, right here and right now, moving in, through, and as each of us. And I know that the divine has heard every name that we spoke, either in our hearts or aloud. And what I'd like you to do now is pause again, and from your heart to all of theirs, just send out love, knowing that the divine knows exactly how to distribute it. And what I know to be the truth is that anything that needs to be released within each of these people is being released now, be it disease of the mind, of the body, of the soul. I know that anything that's seeking to come forth and be lifted up can be lifted up. And that this release and this lifting up is healing whatever's called to be healed. I know that each of these people is feeling more deeply their connection with the divine right now. I have evidence of that, and I know it to be the truth for everyone that we placed in our circle. So I'm so grateful to know that the God without is the God within me. The God without is the God within every person in our circle, every person in this community, and every person on this planet. And I'm grateful for that power of community prayer and what it means to the uplifting of the people on this planet. So it's from all that gratitude that I release this prayer into the law of mind, spirit, and action. Because I know that the divine, in all of its wisdom, has already called all of this good. Any heavy lifting that needs to be done to heal whatever needs to be healed, the divine has already taken care of. so I can just know it's already done, say amen, and together we can affirm it. And so it is. I invite you to join me for our community affirmation. My life's purpose is already within me, and I am committed to its unfoldment. I am here by divine appointment to join in a community that cares for one another, to be in a place that transforms people's lives, to remember the highest truth about myself, to learn spiritual tools for personal transformation, and thus to make the world a more joyful place. So this is our time for meditation. An opportunity for us to let go of whatever's happened up until now and to move forward into this time of being in communion with the divine. To release anything that's pending on our mind right now and to just open our minds to whatever comes. Remember that it's in every one of us to be wise. So we take this time to just open to the wisdom of the divine. All good, all good. Imagine what life would be like if we remembered that God is in everything, that there is good somewhere in everything in life, that life is filled with beauty and wisdom and love. And we had that opportunity to just open our eyes to see the beauty and the love. So during this meditation time, I invite you to just sit with the divine and notice all the beauty, all the love, all the wisdom that flows through your life as you. And as we return from this time of sitting with the divine, just bring back with you those pictures of beauty, those memories of love, and know that right where you are, God is, and all is good. That whatever is in your mind, that you can learn for it to be love and acceptance. Let us know that all is good, all is holy, all is God.
Joy, oh joy, holy, holy. Oh joy, holy, holy. All in my mind, in my heart, in my soul. Let me know all is joy. Holy, holy, oh God, holy, holy, oh God, holy, holy, all in my mind, in my heart, in my soul. Let me know all is God, holy, holy.
Hello, my name is Robin Vi Carpenter Briscoe, and we are deviating from a reading out of our series book by Rick Fields, Chop Wood, Carry Water, because this reading from The Voice Celestial, Illumination and Intuition by Ernest and Fenwick Holmes seems so appropriate for today. Like tides from an invisible ocean of life, bringing messages to the shore of time, eternity presses upon us. It belongs to the present moment. Occasionally, a door opens, eternity enters and brings the light to the shores of time, messages from the unknown mystery of being. Seldom are these messages articulate to consciousness. More often, they are swept back into the stream or ocean of their being, unrevealed. We stand on the shores of this larger life. We hear its tide. O life of life, ocean of being, to me, revealed. I stood upon the shores of the larger life and heard its selling tide. I felt its lapping waves upon my feet. Uninvited, the unknown became known. The invisible was seen. A voice spoke, and I heard it. Beyond all reason thought, it spoke a language that feeling and only feeling can interpret. But real, oh, so real. Elusive, fluidic, but substance of all substance. Illumination came.
Sweet Spirit, let it be. Daily walking you and me. Oh, sweet Spirit within me, let it be. Sweet Spirit, let it be. Spirit's the is true, and that love is right in you. You'll be satisfied as long as you know sweet Spirit's love is true. Oh, sweet Spirit, let it be daily walking you and me. Oh, sweet Spirit within me, let it be. Sweet Spirit, let it be.
I want to thank Robin Vi Carpenter for reading today and the CSL music team for the marvelous music. And we're on week 2 of our 12-week series on Chop Wood, Carry Water by Rick Fields. Each week is independent, so we just talk about one topic each week. And what I truly like about this week is that I love that we are constantly in a state of learning. And that's our topic for today. You know, we're all students of life, exploring each day how to make our lives ones that we love living. And this series is about finding spiritual fulfillment in everyday life. And that requires each of us to be a student of our own thoughts and our behaviors, because learning is a continual process. I love what Charles Fillmore had to say in his talks on truth. The external, striving, wandering will must stop its restless seeking without and repose at the center. It must be obedient to that center and learn the language of spirit. So today is about learning that language of the spirit. But first, your question of the week. What is the one choice you can make today to accept everything in life as a lesson, to know it is only yourself you can change, and discover that true wisdom within you? One more time. What is the one choice you can make today to accept everything in life as a lesson, to know it is only yourself you can change, and to discover the true wisdom within you? You know, we're each a product of all the things that we've experienced with our senses up until this moment now. And some of those experiences we might label as good, but others it may be time to release, to unlearn, so we might move forward and live a more loving life. There was a famous professor, quite learned in Oriental studies, and he went to visit a master of Zen in a temple in Japan. The master received him and brought him into his private room, and a servant brought in some tea. And immediately, the professor went on and on about all the things that he loved about the philosophy. He kept talking and talking. Meanwhile, the Zen master began to pour tea into his guest's cup. The professor hardly noticed, and he kept talking and talking, and he felt wonderfully inspired. And suddenly, he noticed that the Zen master was still pouring tea into his cup, even though it was overflowing onto the tatami mat. And still, he kept pouring. Well, suddenly the professor said, "Stop, stop. What are you doing?" And the Zen master looked up and he said, "Just as a cup cannot hold any more tea once it's filled, how can I give you anything if your mind is already filled?" So the Zen master was reminding us that in order to learn new things, sometimes we have to let go of those cherished notions and assumptions that we already are hanging on to. An open mind is a necessary prerequisite to learning. To receive a cup of tea, we must have an empty cup. And how great our knowledge is, it's still just a little finite amount of all the things that we can still learn. Margaret Meade said, "In this world, no one can complete an education." And I absolutely love learning and believe that she's right. We're constantly learning new things. But I'm wondering and curious, where in your life are you so set on what it is that you already know that you're not open to what you might still be able to learn? Especially in your spiritual life, where you might be able to expand your spiritual territory. Last week I talked about the 4 stages of learning. You might remember, but let me just give you a quick summary. There are those things that we're oblivious to. We don't know them. There are those things we'd like to learn, and we know we don't know them. There are those things we might be unaware that we've already mastered, but we don't know that we know them. And finally, there's that stage of enlightenment or mastery when we know that we know. Today, I want to focus on another way of learning, and that's how can you expand your knowledge of what you don't know, as well as release some of what you already do know, perhaps because what you know is inaccurate or it's no longer serving a purpose in your spiritual growth. For example, suppose you're in a relationship and you've already decided from years of experience that your partner is not very accommodating to what it is you want. What if you let go of that notion and started to view your partner with the beginner's mind that we talked about last week, where there's lots of possibilities, and you can see things with the more open mind that you probably had 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago when the relationship first began. To have this mindset, you must be willing to unlearn the things that you've spent years putting into your data bank of thoughts. You must be willing to bring that empty cup to the table to get your tea. Ernest Holmes encourages us to wake up to our true nature. Here's what he had to say in The Science of Mind. If one could take time, once a day at least, to let go of all that is not true and lay hold of reality, let go of doubt, distrust, worry, condemnation, and fear, and lay hold of life in its expressions of beauty, truth, wholeness, his mental congestion would be healed. I don't know about you, but healing mental congestion sounds like a pretty lovely way to live. So it's time to let go of some of the things that we've learned that are not true of ourselves or others, and lay hold of that reality that we're expressions of the divine. I love what Edwene Gaines had to say about mistakes. She said, a great tool is to learn how to say the word oops again. She talked about how when we're watching a baby learn to walk and taking a few steps and then falling or sitting down, that we don't say to the baby, oh, look how stupid you are, look how ignorant you are. We don't berate them with messages about how they failed or tell them to stay there and don't try again. Rather, we typically say something like, oops, and encourage them to get up and try again. Unfortunately, as Edwene points out, as we grow up, when we fail at something, we often tell ourselves that we've failed, or that we're ignorant, or that we just shouldn't try again. Why bother? Edwene says this: it's a much gentler and more empowering thing to learn to say, oops, that didn't work. Oh well, I'll just have to try again. It's a good thing that Thomas Edison didn't give up or have that attitude about light bulbs, or we'd all still be going around carrying candles to light our homes. I have an expression that I like to share with people when they're talking about their past as though it's etched in stone. especially something in their past that they now want to change or to unlearn, so to speak. The expression is quite simple. Up until now. For example, when I know I want to change something, I might say something like, up until now, I really believed that Joe was quite self-contained and didn't reach out. And then I phrase whatever it is I really want to be able to see in Joe. There's a Sufi story about an old man, and he was talking to one of his friends about his life. And he said, when I was young, I was fiery and I wanted to awaken everyone. I prayed to Allah to give me the strength to change the world. And then in midlife, I woke up one day and realized that my life was half over and I had changed no one. So I prayed to Allah to give me the strength to change those around me who most needed it. Alas, now I'm old, and my prayers are simpler. Allah, I ask, please, please give me the strength to at least change myself. Now that story is quite revealing because the truth is, you're the only one you can change. And if you do manage to change somebody, you've probably done it with them being resentful, or it's just going to be temporary. It's really important for us to remember that we learn for ourselves, that we can't learn for someone else. I can just hear my conversation with that Sufi man who wanted to just at the end of his life change himself. So up until now, you wanted others to change, and now you recognize that you are the only one you can change. What great insight that is. Today, we're beginning our journey learning that we're the only ones that we can change. And I can only find spiritual fulfillment in accepting others exactly as they are, in their own stage of this spiritual journey. Truth be told, we're each writing our own curriculum of life and what we're going to learn. So you might want to ask yourself, how do I develop exactly who I want to be by the choices I make? How do I develop exactly who I want to be by the choices I make? In Chop Wood, Carry Water, we learned that there's many steps to learning. We already talked a little bit about that step of being willing to unlearn. The next step is looking at how we do learn. There are many ways to learn, and there's probably as many ways to learn as there are people on the planet, because we all grow up in our own different stages of development, in our own different atmospheres. We have our own beliefs that we've gathered along the way, and they impact what we see and how we hear things or how we do things. That said, there are a few common tips that I can give you about learning. And the first one is, as Ed Wingate says, if you make a mistake, learn to say, oops, oh well, that didn't work. I'll try something different. It's important not to fear making mistakes. Just learn to say, oops. And know that missing the mark is how we figure out how to hit the target. I'm sure that when you rode a bicycle the first time, you weren't perfectly balanced and you probably at some point fell off. Even a plane that's flying, say, from Portland to Hawaii is off course 95% of the time. And there's that little black box that just edges it back onto course. The autopilot recognizes that it's gone slightly off course and it corrects. Sometimes it overcorrects and then it has to recorrect. And yet, that plane lands successfully in Hawaii. You know, the same can be true of our lives. We can be slightly off course a lot. What we need to learn to do is allow ourselves to correct without getting upset about it. Can you imagine if a pilot was in a plane and he was listening to all the things that the black box said, that at some point he had finally said, I get it, just be quiet, I'm trying my best. We get so involved in being in that state of being right or it being perfect that sometimes we forget that good enough can be pretty darn good. So whatever your plan for life, know that it's okay to get off course while executing that plan. Wouldn't it just be wonderful if we could all learn to make those minor adjustments rather than getting caught up in all of the detours and how wrong those detours are that we chose in life? And there are some qualities that might help us do this. Humility, sincerity, cooperation, collaboration. Those are just a few. It takes humility to realize that someone else might help us learn something we want to know. I know that there's many self-taught people in various fields, and I suspect that they also learned more tricks of their craft as their careers moved forward and they engaged with other people. No matter how much we know about a subject, we must remember to bring an empty cup to the table of collaboration so that we can increase our knowledge. And as for sincerity, we read this week in the chapter that mystics define sincerity as honesty of intention. If we're learning something only to impress somebody else or to receive praise, our depth of learning is quite limited. When you're on a journey to spiritual fulfillment, it's not the rote learning that makes a difference. It's what we've learned that teaches us how to be in the world, not how to do something. And it's how we use that knowledge to impact our own lives and the lives of others. Chris Michaels, in Your Soul's Assignment, wrote this: as you go through life, you may learn many lessons. But remember, all true wisdom comes from within. Experience isn't always the best teacher. A greater wisdom lies waiting on your discovery just underneath the surface of your conscious awareness. All the knowledge in the world is of little use if we keep it to ourselves. If we lock ourselves up and fail to fully participate in our own lives, to act courageously, to live wholeheartedly, to share whatever information we know with others that are seeking that knowledge. The no matter whatness of God is that nothing matters except love. Emily Cady, in Lessons in Truth, wrote this: each man must sooner or later learn to stand alone with his God. Nothing else avails. Nothing else will ever make you master of your own destiny. No one can give to you as can this indwelling Father. He is the spring of all joy and comfort and power. And yet, how many of us are willing to stand alone with our God? I speak often about taking God as your partner. Don't forget that. Engage the wisest of the wise in your learning process. Be engaged and stand alone with that indwelling presence. And laugh at yourself when you do something foolish. Forgive yourself when you do something you regret. Don't fall into that trap that an anonymous person wrote about. We're running away all the time to avoid coming face to face with our real selves. Quit running. Start allowing everything in life to be a lesson from which you can learn. Standing alone with God does not mean failing to be a part of this world or to help your fellow human beings. Cooperation and collaboration are how we're able to see where we might grow stronger. And even when the collaboration might seem to be a challenge, we have much we can learn from those irritations or challenges. Eric Butterworth in Spiritual Economics wrote about how we can learn from the oyster. You can learn a helpful lesson from the lowly oyster. He is normally a very placid fellow, but occasionally little grains of sand work their way inside his shell and begin irritating him. Naturally, he tries to get rid of them, but when he discovers he can't do this, he settles down and produces one of the most priceless and beautiful things in the world. He turns the irritation into a pearl. So no matter what the difficulty, the loss, the financial adversity, if you're feeling negative, get busy pearling. And Dennis Maris Jones says that we can view the challenges in our lives as blessings and learn to bend and sway like a tree does in a storm. Here's what he said. It is that contrast that develops our character and deepens our spiritual roots in the soil of God's presence and power. Be flexible. Bend and sway with the wind. Grow deep, and you will stand tall. I know that I want to deepen my spiritual roots in the soul of God's presence and power. How about you? So I want to learn to be flexible. I want to learn to grow deep. I'm all about roots and wings, those roots that grow deep to give us stability, and the wings that allow us to fly and soar to our best self. And in this philosophy, we understand that we're all connected. One mind, one life. There is an ultimate and sacred union. And in our chapter on learning this week, we read that it's essential for us to find the patterns that connect us. I suspect that in times of challenges, we might find it difficult to remember our unity. George Bateson, in his book Mind and Nature, A Necessary Unity, wrote this. Most of us do not believe that whatever the ups and downs of detail within our limited experience, the larger whole is primarily beautiful. Perhaps if you're in that camp of not seeing the beauty in the world anymore, it's time to go back to where we started today, to empty your teacup and be open to relearning the beauty and the oneness, to release some of those things that are no longer serving you, and begin to see life from a different perspective. As you heard in the reading today, eternity enters and brings the light to the shores of time, messages from the unknown mystery of being. Let those messages seep into your being. Drain your full cup of tea and place it out there for those messages to fill up your cup and to enlighten your path. Be flexible like the tree and start pearling like the oyster. So in summary, decide to be in a constant state of learning. And to do that, remember that learning sometimes involves unlearning. Be certain you can bring an empty cup to be filled. Be willing to let go of what's no longer true, even if up until now it seemed true or felt true. Know you can only change yourself. Learn to say oops rather than guilt or shame yourself when you make a mistake. And learn to be humble and sincere when you're learning. Remember that true wisdom comes from within. Allow everything in life to be a lesson. Learn to make pearls like the oyster and to bend like the trees. So here's your affirmation for the week. How is it that I so easily and willingly make the choice today to accept everything in life as a lesson, to know it is only myself I can change, and to discover the true wisdom within me? So your challenge for the week is to use phrases like oops and up until now, to take your irritations and begin pearling, and to learn that the language of spirit is love and acceptance. Remember, eternity enters and brings the light to the shores of time. Let's pray. So we just take a deep, nourishing breath. We settle into that one God, that God eternal, that God of love and light and joy and freedom and peace and ease. And we know that we are one with that divine, that right within us as expressions of that divine is all that God is. And what I know to be the truth this week is that each of us is noticing how life in every moment can be a lesson. We're bringing that empty cup, noticing what it's time to let go of, being willing to say oops, or up until now I did that, but now, and changing our attitude about aligning with God as our partner. Truly remembering that the wisdom of life lies right within us. So I am grateful. I am grateful for this philosophy. I am grateful for this community in which we can learn together. And I am grateful to know that the God without is the God within me and within each one of us. And it's from all that gratitude that I release my word into the law of mind, spirit, and action. Because what I know is that the divine has already called it good. The divine has already said yes. It's already done. You've asked, it's given. So I can just say amen, and we can affirm it together. And so it is. And this is our time for offertory, and I'm so grateful to each of you that continues to support our community. We are beginning to look at a place where we can do services, perhaps even once a month, but at least be able to be in person together. So thank you for your donations, and enjoy our offertory blessing.
From the love of your spirit within me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal, bless, and prosper. It does good work in the world and returns to me, multiplied abundantly. From the love of your spirit within me, I bless this gift. I send it forth to heal, bless, and prosper. It does good work in the world and returns to me, multiplied abundantly. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
can find all of the information for donating at our website at cslsoutheastla.org. You can use the donate button there, or you can use Zella or Venmo at 225-287-8887. You can text your amount to 1-225-320-5100, or you can mail your donation to CSL Southeast Louisiana, care of Reverend Larrye-Marie Heyl, 445 Magnolia Wood Avenue, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 70808. We thank you for your tithes and donations, and we appreciate the fact that you are giving gifts that are flowing out to everyone we touch. I love this offertory song, If I Believe I Can, because what I know is that a large part of how we learn is believing that we're smart enough to learn it, believing that we can learn whatever it is that's coming our way, that we can overcome those adversities, that we can absolutely turn those irritations into pearls. Enjoy.
I was just a child when Spirit came to me. Said, girl, you have things you are meant to do, so lean on me. There have been times when I thought I wouldn't make it through, but that's when Spirit would turn my head the other way and have me sing to you that if I believe I can. I know that if I can see it, God has a plan, and I will get to the end of my life and be proud of the race I ran. 'Cause if I believe, I can. Following my dreams, I've often felt alone, but each time I was wandering, thinking I was lost, I would be sure home. And now I stand here, I know I am right where I'm supposed to be, and I will hold to the truth God has given me. Now that I see that if I believe, I can. Oh, I know that if I can see it, God has a plan, and I will get to the end of my life and be proud of the race I ran. 'Cause if I believe, I can.
There was a
time when I couldn't go on and I tripped and fell. Oh, I was down, full of pain, misunderstanding, closing in, nowhere to go. But where I landed, wait, that's when I heard a voice in me. It filled me up. It said, believe in yourself, what you're here to do. You got no more excuses. When you follow what's true for you, I was raised up. I was made new. Now I'm standing here right in front of you to speak, to give you the words that were given to me. 'Cause nothing can stop you if you believe.
Others may say that I am wrong. What can they know when I know that if
There was a time when I couldn't go on and I tripped and fell. Oh, I was down, full of pain, misunderstanding, closing in, nowhere to go. Where I landed, wait. That's when I heard a voice in me. It filled me up. It said, believe in yourself. What you're here to do, you got no more excuses. When you follow what's true for you, I was raised up. I was made new. Now I'm standing here right in front of you to speak, to give you the word that was given to me. 'Cause nothing can stop you. If you believe, yeah, I was raised up. I was made new. Now I'm standing here right in front of you to speak, to give you the word that was given to me. 'Cause nothing can stop you. If you believe, yeah, to give you the word that was given to me. 'Cause nothing can stop you.
I can.
Next week, our series continues with our topic being relationships. And I hope you'll join us as we continue on this journey to enlightenment by looking at how we are in our relationships. Who are we in them? How do we commit? How do we create intimacy? And how do we meet adversity with others and bring more peace and spiritual connection into our lives? I hope to see you then. Thank you for joining us today. I invite you to like us on Facebook at Center for Spiritual Living, Southeast Louisiana. And please follow us on our YouTube channel at CSL SELA. And it's just about time to join in our community time, which is a live discussion that follows the service every Sunday at 11:45 a.m. You have a little bit of time to go get a cup of coffee or some tea, and then dial into our conference line. The number is 540-792-0192, and the participation code is 475220. We hope you'll join us. So in closing, remember that Disney claims to be the happiest place on earth, but we at CSL in Southeast Louisiana know that we are absolutely the most joyful. So until we meet again, may you be wrapped in the arms of love and kindness. And may you see everything as a lesson and a way to allow you to see the world as beautiful and loving. When we open our minds and are aware and mindful of all of life, we feel so very much alive.
Alive, alive, alive forevermore. My spirit is alive, alive forevermore. Alive, alive, alive forevermore. My spirit is alive. Sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. My spirit is alive forevermore. Sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. My spirit is alive, alive, alive. spirit is alive. Sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. My spirit is alive forevermore. Sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. My spirit